Welcome. Thanks so much for spending part of your Friday with us. We're going to do Oversight of GCP, also a little more information about how we use that GCP information. It's a good clinical practice. Certainly something that we all hear about. We know we have to understand. We know that we have to have training and documented training on that. But what does it really mean for us? A little bit of a background about myself is that I'm an auditor as well. So oftentimes when we go out, certainly we're always looking for training. We're looking at training records and, the SOP training matrix, how you train, how you assess comprehension, how you assess compliance, those sort of things. So we're going to talk about those areas of consideration in greater detail, of course. But what we know is that not all training is equal. And from that lens of being an auditor and looking at your training systems, how are you really structured to meet good clinical practice requirements, whether you are a site or an IRB or a lab or a sponsor or a CRO. So our focus is going to look at the elements of a functional quality system at the site level. We're going to talk about the quality systems that we would expect to see in place if we were to do, for example, a pre-qualification assessment of an investigator who I personally believe is one of your vendors. So we certainly have quality systems in each vendor that we're working with that we look for when we audit, but we're going to focus on those for an investigator. So regardless of investigational product, regardless of therapeutic area, those are the core systems that should be in place. And really when you think about a site, everything that kind of radiates out of that, if you think about that investigator being part of a system, then if your site is established well, then it means that your processes for the most part for your other vendors, whether it be your CROs or you or your IRBs, are also functioning fairly well. So we'll look at those quality systems and how they reflect on each of us and our roles and responsibilities. We'll, of course, look at some of the recent trends in noncompliance, particularly focusing on FDA requirements, what they have seen. They've given us some new information. Unfortunately, things have not changed too much over the last few years, and we are keeping pace also, unfortunately, with the rest of the world in terms of their noncompliance issues. We'll talk about the role of SOPs in GCP. We know that regulatory requirements do not require sites or sponsors or CROs to have standard operating procedures, but we know that we are asking to see them. We know that the FDA is asking to see them. In their regulatory communication, they are tasking individuals, whether it be a site or a sponsor or CRO, to establish and implement standard operating procedures to, again, allow that uniformity of processes to occur.